Have you ever looked into someone's eyes for the first time and felt as if your soul already knew theirs? No words were exchanged. There were no awkward introductions, just a strange, powerful calm, like your heart exhaled and whispered, "You're safe here." This isn't luck, nor a random cosmic accident. Carl Jung called it synchronicity when two souls align, not by chance, but because they vibrate at exactly the same frequency. It's rare, intense, and when it happens, nothing else in the world seems to matter. Conversations deepen, silences feel comfortable, you drop your masks, and there's no need to explain yourself. Because this person doesn't just hear your words, they feel your energy. But let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. Not every deep connection is meant to last. Some people don't come to stay. They come to awaken. They arrive like a storm, powerful, unforgettable. And before you know it, they're gone, leaving behind questions, clarity, and sometimes a crack in your heart that never fully heals. So how do you know? How can you tell if this person is your soulmate or just a mirror, reflecting your wounds, your growth, or your unfinished healing? Let's break it down. Because the truth is, some connections are your destiny, while others are your lessons. And if you don't know the difference, you might hold on to a ghost and let go of your guide. Chapter 1. Synchronicity. The timing of the soul is never wrong. What you find in another person is a mirror of your own soul. Carl Jung once asked, "Have you ever met someone and felt something inside you shift?" It wasn't attraction in the usual sense. It wasn't about looks, status, or charm. It was something deeper, like the echo of something you couldn't name, but your soul instantly recognized. Jung called this synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence where two people cross paths, not by chance, but for something far deeper. He believed that beneath all our conscious choices, there's an invisible thread connecting us through energy, frequency, and vibration. When that thread aligns, two souls come into perfect harmony without planning it. Relationships often start logically. Shared interests, time spent together, physical chemistry. But the most powerful connections begin silently, in the energetic field, unspoken but undeniable. That's why you can meet 1,000 people and feel nothing, then meet one person and feel everything. Because this isn't about surface-level things. It's about resonance. It's as if your soul is a piano, and they play a key you didn't even know existed. Suddenly, you remember a part of yourself that was asleep. They awaken something inside you, not because they brought it, but because they reflected it. And that's the key. You don't fall in love with them. You fall in love with the version of yourself that comes alive in their presence. Maybe they bring out your softness in a world that has hardened you. Maybe they challenge you in ways that scare you, but help you grow. Maybe they mirror your pain so profoundly that you finally have to face it. That is the magic of synchronicity. It's not about perfect circumstances. It's about perfect alignment. They come when your soul is ready, not when you're fully healed, not when your life is perfect, but when you're broken enough to receive a deeper truth. Because some people don't come to stay. They come to awaken. They aren't your forever. They are your mirror, your guide, your spark, your storm. They shake your world, not to break it, but to show you what has been asleep inside you all along. So the next time someone enters your life and it feels like destiny, don't just ask, "Who are they?" Ask yourself, what part of me are they reflecting back? Because the timing of the soul is never wrong, and every synchronous meeting carries a message, if you're still enough to hear it. Chapter 2. You attract what you haven't healed. Until you bring the unconscious into awareness, it will guide your life, and you'll call it destiny. Carl Jung, let me ask you something personal. Have you ever looked back on your relationships and wondered why you keep attracting the same kind of pain? Different names, different stories, but somehow the same heartbreak, the same abandonment, the same emotional pattern repeating like a scratched record. That's not destiny. That's not just bad luck in love. That's your unhealed part making the decisions. You see, what most people don't realize is that we don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. More specifically, we attract what still needs healing inside us. If you carry childhood wounds of feeling not enough, you'll find people who treat you like you're not enough. If you have deep-seated abandonment issues, you'll fall in love with those who always leave. If your self-esteem is built on shaky ground, you'll attract those who constantly test your worth. Not because the world hates you, but because your soul is trying to get your attention. Pain isn't a punishment. Pain is a teacher. Every broken relationship isn't a curse. It's a classroom. It shows where you're still bleeding, reflects the parts of you that still whisper, "I'm not healed yet." But most of us don't listen. We blame the other person, curse love, close ourselves off emotionally, when really it's not about them. It's about the mirror they held up to us. Because relationships, especially painful ones, are mirrors. They don't create your wounds. They reveal them. They show the fears you buried, the trauma you never processed, the stories you tell yourself when no one's watching. And until you look into that mirror, not with blame, but with honesty, you'll keep attracting the same lessons in different bodies. Those who ignored you reflected your fear of abandonment. Those who made you chase their love revealed your hidden belief that you have to earn affection. The emotionally unavailable mirrored your own avoidance of vulnerability. Every person is a message. Every heartbreak is a wake-up call. And here's the hard truth. You can't heal in the same place where you were hurt, but you can heal by understanding why you were drawn to that pain in the first place. Chapter 3. Not all soulmates. Stay. Some people enter your life like a wildfire, sudden, intense, unstoppable. They don't ask permission or give warnings. They just show up, and your world is never the same. You weren't looking for them. You weren't ready. But something about their presence made you feel at home, as if your soul remembered them from before time itself. Everything about it is overwhelming. The connection, the chemistry, conversations stretching into the early morning, the silence that says more than words ever could. So you start to believe this must be destiny, this must be love, this must be the one. But then they leave, and you're left staring at the empty space they filled so easily, trying to understand how something that felt so right could disappear so fast. You start to question everything. Was it real? Was it just you? Were you imagining the connection? Let me tell you a truth few are brave enough to face. Not all soulmates are meant to stay. Yes, they were real. Yes, the connection mattered. But that doesn't mean they were forever. Some soulmates come to awaken you. They arrive when your soul is asleep, when you've forgotten your worth, when you've settled for less, when you've buried your truth so deep you don't even recognize your own voice. They come like fire, to burn your illusions, to destroy your false beliefs, to break your heart so it can finally open. It hurts because it's supposed to hurt. Growth always does. Chapter 4. Love begins with wholeness, not hunger. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemicals. If there's any reaction, both are transformed. Carl Jung. We live in a world obsessed with finding the one, the perfect person, the missing piece, the soulmate who will complete us. But here's the brutal truth. No one can complete you if you haven't completed yourself. Because love that comes from hunger isn't love. It's desperation. It's dependency. It's an attempt to fill a void that was never meant to be filled by another person. We attract who we are, not what we desire. If your soul is full of chaos, confusion, and unresolved wounds, you'll attract people who reflect that chaos back to you, not because the universe is cruel, but because it's consistent. That's why the broken often fall for the unavailable. Why do the insecure chase what's out of reach? Why do the lonely settle for less than they deserve? It's not destiny, it's frequency. And frequency doesn't lie. Energy doesn't respond to your wishes. It responds to your beliefs, your vibration, your self-worth. So if you're moving through life hungry for love, validation, and emotional rescue, you'll attract companions who mirror that hunger, not your wholeness. They won't give you peace. They'll give you intensity. And intensity without stability is a fire that burns everything down. You might think it's passion, but really it's pain disguised as love. You might think it's romance, but it's trauma playing dress-up. Because real love doesn't feel like addiction. It feels like alignment. Love doesn't begin when you find someone. It begins when you become someone. Not someone perfect, but someone whole. Wholeness doesn't mean you'll never get hurt. It means you don't expect anyone else to heal every wound. It means you faced your shadows, healed your past, and learned to give yourself the love you once begged for. When you're whole, you stop chasing people who only feed your emptiness. You start attracting people who match your peace. You stop falling for temporary highs and start building with those who bring lasting growth. That's not magic or luck. That's emotional physics. Because when your frequency changes, your relationships change. People who once seemed magnetic begin to feel chaotic. Those who ignored you no longer attract you. And the souls meant for your healed self start showing up effortlessly. Love finds you when you no longer need it to save you. It finds you when you stop asking, "Who will complete me?" and start saying, "I am whole, I am worthy, I am enough." That's when love stops being a transaction and becomes a transformation. Not two broken halves clinging to each other out of fear, but two whole beings choosing each other with strength. So if you're tired of heartbreak, if you're worn down by patterns that keep breaking you, don't look for more love. Look deeper within yourself. Heal your wounds, raise your standards, raise your frequency, because when your energy is whole, your love will be too. Chapter 5. The Illusion of Forever. We grow up with a fantasy, a story wrapped in fairy tales and wedding vows, that once love is found, it must last forever. They tell us true love never fades, that forever is the goal, and if it ends, it was never real to begin with. But here's the truth. Life eventually teaches us all. Not every soul is meant to stay, and that doesn't make the connection any less meaningful. Every soul you meet has a season. Some arrive to teach you how to love, others to teach you how to let go. Some are mirrors of your higher self, others warnings of what you never want to become again. But none of them are mistakes. Even the painful ones, even the ones who left you shattered, even the ones who made you question your worth. They were lessons disguised as love. The real mistake isn't that the relationship ended. It's that we try to hold on when it's already expired. We beg, chase, compromise, shrink ourselves to fit a bond our soul has already outgrown. And what happens? We suffer, not because they changed, but because we don't accept that we did. You see, when your energy evolves, when your frequency rises, some people will naturally fall away. Not because they're bad, not because you failed, but because your soul is no longer aligned with theirs. And no effort, no persuasion, no nostalgia can force two souls to fit when they've grown in different directions. It's like trying to wear shoes that once fit perfectly, but now hurt with every step. You can force them, but you'll bleed for it. That's what happens when you cling to people who no longer match your vibration. You bleed emotionally, suffer mentally, get stuck spiritually, because love was never meant to be a prison. It's supposed to be a portal to growth, truth, and freedom. When a soul connection's purpose is complete, you feel it. There's a silence, a disconnect, a sense that something no longer fits, even if the memories still feel warm. That's when courage comes in, the courage to let go, to release the illusion of forever, to honor the love for what it gave you and still walk away when it no longer feeds your soul. Letting go doesn't mean you didn't care. It means you care more about your growth than your fear of being alone. It means finally understanding that you're not losing them. You're finding yourself. Because the person you were in that relationship was still learning, still searching, still afraid to be alone with their own soul. But now you're different. Now you see no connection is worth sacrificing your evolution. So stop trying to resurrect what has already ended. Stop holding on to people who made sense to your old self. Instead, bless the bond. Be grateful for the experience and move forward, open, whole, and ready. Because true love doesn't chain you to forever. True love frees you to become who you were always meant to be. Chapter 6. The mirror never lies. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves. Carl Jung said it best. It's easy to point fingers and say, "They hurt me, they abandoned me, they changed." But what if the people who trigger you are actually showing you parts of yourself you've refused to face? What if the person who left you broken wasn't a villain, but a mirror? See, your triggers aren't random. Your patterns aren't meaningless. They're messages. Messages from your subconscious. Messages from your soul. When someone irritates you, disrespects you, or makes you feel small, don't just look at them. Look at what they're reflecting back to you. Because every relationship, especially the painful ones, is a mirror. It shows where you bleed, where you're still vulnerable, where your healing still needs work. Think of that person you can't let go, the conversations you replay, the messages you overanalyze, the memory you clutch like a wound that won't heal. The mirror never lies. It just shows you the truth you've always been ready to see. Chapter 7. When two whole souls meet. There comes a moment after all the heartbreak, after the toxic cycles, after long nights questioning your worth, when something inside you begins to shift. You stop chasing. You stop begging. You stop molding yourself just to be loved. Instead, you begin the real work. You look in the mirror and confront the wounds you tried to bury. You unravel the stories from your childhood, the ones that told you love had to be earned. You make space for your shadows instead of running from them. You learn to give yourself the validation you spent years searching for in others. And somewhere along the way, you heal. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough to stand for yourself. And when that happens, something incredible begins to unfold. The right soul shows up, not to fix you, not to complete you, but to meet you exactly where you are. No games, no manipulation, no chasing, no anxiety disguised as passion, just resonance, just alignment, just peace. You don't have to prove your worth. You don't have to surrender to be seen. You don't have to fear their silence because their presence feels like home. This is the kind of love that doesn't ignite chaos. It soothes it. It doesn't leave you questioning. It makes you feel safe. For the first time, love doesn't feel like drowning. It feels like breathing. You laugh more, rest more easily, trust more deeply, not because they're perfect, but because you're whole enough not to collapse if they're not. You don't need them to save you. You've already saved yourself. You don't need them to fill the void. You've already filled it with purpose, healing, and growth. So what happens when two whole souls meet? Magic, not the kind that blinds you, but the kind that builds you. It's not fireworks that burn out fast. It's a fire that burns slow, warm, steady, and real. No obsession, just deep recognition, like two travelers who finally come home after lifetimes of searching. They don't complete each other because they were never incomplete. They complement each other. Their presence doesn't fix your life. Amplify the joy you've already created within yourself. Love doesn't patch your wounds. Honor the strength you built by healing them. This kind of love is sacred, not because it's dramatic or intense, but because it's honest, effortless, rooted in self-awareness and mutual respect. It's the reward for all your inner work, the prize for finally choosing yourself, the divine alignment that shows up after you stop settling for chaos in the name of connection. So if you're still in the middle of your healing, still peeling back the layers, learning to sit with your pain, keep going. Because once you've done the work, once you've made peace with your past, once you've fallen in love with your own presence, that's when your person will arrive. Not to rescue you, but to rise with you. Here's the challenge Carl Jung posed. And here's the challenge not just from me, but from life itself. Stop looking for love. Start looking for yourself. Because the love you long for, the deep, moving connection you dream about at night, is not hidden in another person. It's hidden within you. The person you're waiting to find can't find you until you find yourself. And not just the polished parts, not just the goals, the smiles, the strengths. I'm talking about the parts you've buried, the fears, the guilt, the shame, the wounds. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." You've been dreaming. Now it's time to wake up. Look inside. Heal the echoes. Sit with your shadows. Tear down every lie that told you you're unworthy of love unless you prove something. Because here's the truth. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you've become. So if you want a love that's whole, a connection that's sacred, a relationship that feels like peace, then become whole, become sacred, become peace. Do the work. Answer your soul. The people meant for you won't show up by accident. They'll be drawn into your orbit by the power of the energy you now carry. Not by chance, but by alignment. This is your challenge, your journey, your awakening. Are you ready? If this message touched you deeply, if something stirred inside while you heard it, it wasn't by accident. Your soul needed this. It's been whispering for too long. Now it's roaring. This is your sign. This is your mirror. This is your moment. No more excuses. No more waiting for someone to save you. No more chasing what runs from your worth. Now go and do the work. Face the mirror. Heal what hurts. Forgive those who broke you. Not for them, but for your freedom. Release what no longer fits your future and rise as the person your younger self dreamed you would become. Because true growth isn't loud or flashy. It happens in silence, in solitude, in self-respect. If you're ready, truly ready, comment below, "I am evolving." Not just as a statement, but as a declaration to the world, to your pain, to your past. Let the algorithm bring the noise. You bring the truth. Subscribe for more deep soul truths that don't just inspire you, they transform you. Because this journey isn't about chasing validation. It's about becoming untouchable, and it always starts where it always has, from within. No dramatic endings, no false promises. Just this. You already have everything you've been searching for.